Toastmasters, if you could focus on the things in your life that provide you the most value for your time in work or in life, wouldn't you want to focus on that as much as possible? And if you could do that, imagine cutting your workload in half and doubling your productivity. Wouldn't that be such an adaptable and abundant concept? Well, I'm glad that everybody is here today so that we can review the 80/20 rule. Less is more. Now, I was reading this book that was titled The 80/20 Principle: Achieve More by Doing Less. Everybody wants to do that. Everybody would like to wake up in 5 minutes, conquer 100 emails, and be done for the rest of the day and go cruising and have a great rest of the day. That would be phenomenal. But that's not necessarily what the 80/20 rule is all about. You see, there was this guy named Wilfredo Pareto in Italy who, in the 1900s, he started realizing that 80% of Italy was owned by only 20% of investors. And he started to think, if that is the case, that only 20% of the population is owning around 80% of the real estate, how much more is this concept in other areas of life? And because of this, he started to really look at the numbers. Is 20% of the products that a business have generating 80% of the returns? Why is business not focusing on those 20% of products? In real life, if you're having issues with a lot of friends and family, is it a lot of friends and family, or is it 20% are considered the bad apples? And if we understand that logic, we should technically start to automatically allocate in our heads, well, if these people are generating 80% of my problems, wouldn't it be a little bit easier to just get rid of them? That should be the case. What ends up happening is that we simply are ignorant and we don't know this concept, how powerful it is. And since today we are discussing adaptability, I thought it's actually pretty cool because we can start thinking about our own life and seeing where can we start applying this principle. In my case, when I was going to college, I was going to school full time and I was working full time. I did not have that much time to barely sleep or study. Sometimes I had to make a decision. Do I want to sleep or do I want to study? And I didn't have the flexibility. And so I started doing a lot of research as to how can I use a very small amount of my time to generate the most bang for my buck. And so I started doing certain little techniques. There was one, I forgot the name of it, where every 20 minutes you give yourself a break. You do hard work, you focus for 20 minutes, and then you give yourself a 5 minute break so that you can decompress from all the studying that you just did. I realized once I finished and graduated, why would I not keep the same principle of efficient working? We are thinking about, if everybody has 24 hours, some people are using those 24 hours in a very smart and efficient manner where they're taking everything that they're trying to do and they're focusing on those ideal methods. And other times we look at 24 hours and we say, we don't have enough time in the day. Let me just go and waste my time. Now, the less is more concept is so impactful that now there's so many industries that are literally being bombarded by productivity enthusiasts, influencers, individuals that are preaching and showing you, well, if you use my product, it will cut down on your expenses, it will cut down on everything that you have going for you. But when I started to look at it, at the end of the day, we are technically customer number one. In everybody's life, if you look in the mirror, that is technically the most important person that is going to determine your life and your success. And so, if everybody has different goals, different aspirations, everybody can't do the 80/20 rule in the same way. everybody's going to figure out what is your method to your madness. If, for example, somebody wants to achieve happiness, you would want to focus on looking at who is removing happiness from your life. Who are the individuals that are detracting you from having a well rounded life? And how can you start implementing certain ways to remove that individual? So that way you can have more happiness by literally having less of those problematic individuals in your life, because a small portion of what we do actually is what is creating the vast majority of our success. That small little thing that I did when I was in college, where I took a small little bit of time and I started compounding it by doing it continuously over time, enabled that habit to simply shift over. So now when I, for example, create an outline for Toastmasters, I'm focusing on what 20% of actions am I doing that is going to prepare me for 80% of the speech? Is it practicing endlessly? Is it creating a huge script? Or is it creating an efficient outline with simple bullets that are going to enable me to simply glimpse on over, get an understanding, and continuing with the speech? And I started to realize if a lot of individuals don't have this information, what could life look like if we all had this concept embedded in us? If businesses focused on the 20% of the products that generated 80% of the revenues, if in our personal life we focus on the 20% of the people that give you the vast majority of your happiness and fulfillment, if at work you're focusing on the 20% of the tasks that are providing you with your most productive and efficient ways of working, how much more could we go further? Toastmasters, I want to provide everybody with a challenge for this week to simply find that 20% of the things that you care most about. What small action can you take today that will get you a little bit closer? Because when you apply the 80-20 rule, less really does become more. Thank you.